I'm Andrew Patterson from interest.co.nz. Welcome to another in our Business Success series. With me today, Chris Leonard, the co-founder and chief executive of SnapComms. Hi there, Chris.
How are you?
Chris, so just tell us a bit about the inspiration for SnapComms. Where did the idea come from?
Yeah, sure. Look, it eventuated some time ago, but there was an intranet manager who obviously built intranets, was a bit frustrated, not in his efforts, but in the audience using his product. So he was trying to think of a way to create attention, awareness of what he had done. So the concept really of messaging or notifications onto the desktop was born. And so he relayed that story to us, and we ended up building a very prototype solution at the time to allow him to do that. An application which was installed on the desktop, pushed out messages to his staff with a link through to his intranet, which he could use any time he liked. To publicise the fact that pages have changed or whatever, and that's where it came from. So really cut through was what the proposition was about, and cut through is what the proposition is about today.
And such a simple concept, and when you thought about it, you must have thought, I'm sure somebody's already thought of this.
Yeah, we did think that, and we did a bit of research, but funnily enough, it wasn't widely adopted as a medium for communicating within businesses. Email was in its, not in its heyday, it had been fairly well established at that point in time, but it was a very common medium. I think businesses were very used to that and weren't looking elsewhere. Intranets were becoming more profiled, as were portals. So those were the two primary electronic communications mediums out there. So the use of pop-up notifications was a bit naive or novel, perhaps, to organisations. So we just capitalised on the fact that there was nothing really in that space and used it.
And we've probably got to a point now where email has almost passed its use-by date as a communication tool, because when people sit down and talk about these issues within businesses, invariably internal communication is always at the top of the list, isn't it?
Yeah, and look, I mean, yeah, you are right. Internal communications is what people go on and on and on about, and it is so important because you do need to keep staff informed, engaged, etc. And you do need to communicate messages through to your audience. Email is certainly an over-abused medium, and organisations are really struggling with being able to control the use of it, but also just get their messages across in a really overt manner. So it's not dead. I mean, it's still very useful, but in terms of getting those important messages across, not very effective at all. So, and that's where the SnapComms solution really does provide a point of differentiation that is going to get that cut through.
So I'm the chief executive of a company, and I've got your software, and I want to get a message out to my staff. How quickly can I do it?
Well, you can do it in minutes. Really, it's that quick. Look, a point in case, we had Sydney Ports in Australia last year. They're expanding one of their divisions, and public company needed to alert all staff at a certain point in time before it went public to the fact that was happening. Used our desktop alert notification tool to basically put an alert together, pushed it out, so it's synchronised. So at a point in time, I think 12 noon, bang, went out to all the staff at the same time it was announced to the media. Something you could execute within 30 seconds.
And nothing irritates staff more than when they hear something about the company through the media and they haven't heard it first through their own communication tool.
Which was what drove him really to use our solution to deliver that message.
You've also integrated a whole lot of other aspects to it. Just explain some of the other features of what you can do.
Yeah, we have. I mean, the desktop alert notification is just one of a suite of tools we got. We've got scrolling ticker bars. We've got screensavers, which are a fantastic visual communications medium. Everybody has screensavers showing at some point in time. Quizzes, surveys, staff magazines. We've got our own suite of collaboration tools. Then in between that, we've got RSVP. We call it RSVP, which is an invitation tool which allows an enterprise to push out a mass invitation to a lot of staff, multiple check boxes, if you will. They can select the date and time that they want to go to an event, and when they click accept, it populates their Outlook calendars, but also provides those statistics back to whoever is event managing that particular show. So there's a lot we can do.
And at this stage, you still there's not really too many competitors in the space against you.
No, not really. In terms of direct competitors, very few, which continually surprises us. There are a few out there, of course, NetPresenter being one, which is based out of Holland, and Desk Alerts, which is based in the States. But our point of differentiation really is that we have a range or a suite of tools whereas they just focus on screensavers in case of net presenter and desk alerts, obviously just alerts. And we're finding that our customers are wanting a range of tools to use to be able to deliver their messages, and they can use them in a complementary fashion. So you can use a screensaver to build general awareness of an event because it's such a visual medium, a bit passive, but still gets the message out there. And when they really want to hit home, they then use the alerts or the tickers, for instance, to get the main message across, and they can validate acknowledgement or understanding through the use of a survey, for instance.
So you've got your main office in New Zealand, you've also got some offices in the US, but interestingly enough, 95% of your client base are actually outside of New Zealand.
They are, yeah, and I think our application is best suited to larger organisations where communications is a real challenge. So organisations of 5,000 plus, they have a real need. So yeah, most of our business is offshore, and the reason we have offices now in the US and the UK.
When you think about that growth period, where were some of the real challenges, the speed bumps for you along the way?
Well, to be fair, I mean, we're a small business, we're a self-funded business, so we've been operating off our profits. It's always come down to having the cash flow to be able to buy the resource, to be able to then execute and move to the next point in our evolution. And those have always been challenges. So from those challenges, we've learned to operate in a very, I think, efficient manner. So we try to operate lean. The lean startup is a concept, something that we thoroughly adopt. We have a philosophy of trying to automate as much of what we do in terms of our own processes as possible. In terms of servicing our customers, we try to allow them to self-serve. Part of what we do in terms of our own development is to ensure that our application is very user-friendly, easy to use. And that's allowed us to overcome that resource challenge, if you will, to deliver a solution in an effective manner to quite a large client base now.
Because you actually came from a corporate background originally. How did you find that transition?
Yeah, probably natural, to be fair. Yeah, I did come out of a corporate background, which I enjoyed, but after a while you get a bit frustrated, probably a frustrated entrepreneur from day one, and just went out there and looked at opportunity. I got involved in a number of startups, cut my teeth on them, I suppose, and then came across this concept and evolved it from there. Quite enjoyed the transition, to be fair. I think spending time in the corporate world gives you a sense of how businesses operate. You certainly operate in a professional manner, so you learn some core skills. So moving to your own business is a nice transition to utilise those skill sets.
What about the marketing of the product? How does that tend to happen?
Yeah, the marketing of the product, we've always relied on internet. So we have a website and all our leads come through our website. We're a pretty effective marketing team. The whole concept of marketing online is something that's entrenched in our business. So inbound marketing is absolutely key. Website, SEO, great content, great case studies, etc. We get a lot of traffic through our website. We have certain calls to action, trial sign-ups or contact us. And for us, that then drives our leads. Well, they are our leads. They're qualified. If people are going to spend the time to trial our application or they're going to ask us a question, they're qualified opportunities that we can then go and connect with and move them through the sales cycle.
That's a fairly standard feature now, isn't it, amongst the IT set, is give it to people for 4 or 6 weeks to have and play with, and then they almost convert themselves.
Yeah, I think you have to, really. You have to try before you buy. Nobody these days is going to just buy the software off the shelf without utilising it first, unless it's a very well-known brand. I mean, Yammer out there had a freemium model, and there are a number of other technologies out there who have a freemium model. Once people have used it for free and want to corporatise it, then they start paying the licence fees. So the use of Maker, or the facility of applying applications out there for just a trial period just makes so much sense.
And it's the business model is based on a licence, so effectively that the number of users is what you pay for.
Yeah, correct. We've got a client server based application, so we just charge for the client licences, which is based on a per user use of that. We annualise our charges, so we build up a base of recurring revenues that repeat year on, year out. And that's really what this business is all about, really driving that annuity.
Vodafone was one of your early customers. It's grown now to be your largest customer.
Yeah, Vodafone New Zealand, one of our first customers here in New Zealand. So, and then really based on the back of a very innovative internal communications manager who saw the benefit that our tools could deliver. And also Vodafone is a great name that you can take to market and basically establish proof of concept and validate. And over the years, the same internal comms manager, named Jeff Timblick, moved to Vodafone UK and managed their global communications. He then ended up effectively selling in our solution into Voda Global. And now we've got all the opcos around the world, so about 130,000 odd staff.
And that's another, I suppose, great advantage of a business model like this, that when you sell it into somebody, they effectively take it with them as they move through their different stages of the career.
We've seen that happen a number of times. I mean, the same person, Jeff Timblick, has now moved to British Gas, and he's now using our solution there. In fact, a deal that came through this morning from New York, a hospital manager that used our tools in one of his hospitals, he's moved on to another hospital now and has now just acquired our solution. So it is very common.
How big could you grow?
How big could we grow? We could be massive. I mean, that's obviously the intent. Our application, the need for it is horizontal, so it spans the entire, workforce really. I mean, it's going to take us a while to get there, but the potential is huge.
Companies, of course, these days with the market running as hot as it is, looking at potential IPOs, is that something that you might consider down the track?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, we haven't really given it a lot of thought. We are focusing right now on the day-to-day. There is just so much to do. But yeah, possibly an IPO. We have made the decision to obviously keep the company closely held for the moment and keep it in New Zealand too, at least the main base of it. But who knows?
What about staff recruitment? Because there's been quite a bit of comment recently about IT, and you're very much in that space. How difficult is it recruiting staff for a business like this?
Yeah, recruiting staff is absolutely paramount for a business of our type, and certainly of our size. You need to get the right people on board. You can't really afford to have people who don't perform. So recruiting IT staff in particular has been difficult. We've been fortunate. We have actually managed to recruit all the right people, albeit whilst we're based in New Zealand and most of our IT staff are here. We do actually have one expat Kiwi who's in San Francisco working for us, but he was part of SnapComms originally. But a lot of our IT staff are actually from overseas originally. They're New Zealand resident now, but they come from Europe or the Middle East.
And just finally, Chris, what sort of targets have you set yourself as a business over the next 3 to 5 years?
In terms of revenue targets, well, we're doubling our revenues year in, year out. So the intent is to keep doing that at a minimum. We know we can probably accelerate that if we start focusing on marketing into verticals. So those are our targets for now.
So Chris, this is a business with enormous potential because, as we said earlier, everybody has a communications need. So has the growth surprised you that you've achieved?
Yeah, I think it has. We didn't expect to keep doubling our revenues year in, year out. It's been hard work, but it's pleasantly surprising, and I think it's just down to our efforts. And the application, I think, does sell itself to a degree, and there is a real business need for it. So hopefully we continue to excel that statistic.